slide over, big boy.
You on the couch?
Yeah, we're loud, man.
Good. You can put on the chair. Better. I slide the chair over here.
Yeah.
Live.
You know what? We can do whatever we want. Nobody's watching yet, so that's all right. We'll be okay. Wait a minute.
Where you want over there?
All right, let's see. I told everybody it would be early, but maybe not this early, but you know, when you watch this in later on the what is it, the archives, will we hopefully I can edit this later tomorrow. But right now, this is what we're going with. We got one in the chat. His name is MikeO, who we are talking to. So I labeled this talking with MikeO on this farm. As I told you, this was the weekend I was going to the Hall of Fame. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But I just want to thank Mike and his dad for inviting me up here. We're kind of in New York, or are we in Pennsylvania?
We're
very confused.
We're in northeastern Pennsylvania right now.
Okay.
But New York's, okay. 10 minutes scoot away.
Right. It was very confusing on the car rides. And I know we're nowhere from
you were in North Carolina, you flew into New York, you're staying in Pennsylvania, going back to New York to hang out in Cooperstown, coming back to Pennsylvania, going to New York to hunt for sports cards and video games, back to Pennsylvania.
Right.
All over.
Right. So very, very fun weekend. My flight is very early Monday morning. So we're doing this early so we can watch some baseball and football and going to bed early tonight. Or at least I am. He don't sleep. So
3 hours a night.
But to get it just to kick it off, I said it in my live. I did a little video on Saturday. I will be doing a one-off either Monday evening or Tuesday, really talking into my experience at the Hall of Fame. But I just want to touch on a few things. And me and Mike talked about it walking through. I just wanted to ask Mike this because we were talking about it. At the Hall of Fame, on the third floor is a lot of the modern day stuff, or at least new, stuff in my lifetime, and which I'm 52 now. I don't know if that's modern. Everything.
Ancient to men.
Yeah, but they have all the records up there, and talking about how special records are and stuff. And Mike brought up we don't have hey Mari, we don't have the home run leader, we don't have the hits leader, we don't have the strikeout leader in the Hall of Fame because of suspected steroid use and just being assholes. I just really, I mean, am I wrong? I mean, that's kind of how they are. That's how it's put. And Pete Rose is for gambling. But you know what?
The NBA works with that.
Yeah, it does. It does. And a lot of it has to be with him is deeper than that too. With the commissioner,
he might have been on track to potentially have that forgiven, but then I think some other allegations came up, which
Well, and also that commissioner hated him.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because he wouldn't admit to it. But anyway, they have plenty of their stuff up there is being shown. Their pictures are everywhere. They, I mean, it's everything but their plaques being on the wall. What's up, Lou Rock?
Lou Rock.
Yeah. So at the Hall of Fame, I just find it crazy. Either they're in or they're not in.
Look how handsome you look with the lighting.
Yeah, they're either in or they're not in at the Mike Spaceboro History Collector. What does I say? On Rose getting in the hall. I'm softening on Rose getting in the hall. Yeah, and I could see both sides of it until I went to the Hall of Fame. This is my one little rant. He's either not in the Hall of Fame or he's in, because that was with what they have in for those guys. They're in. They're in the Hall of Fame. They just don't have plaques up.
They're in the Hall of Fame.
What's up,
They haven't
Clay?
been inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Right. That is the crazy part, is they aren't in the ceremony, but they're definitely in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they're not ignored by the Hall of Fame.
Right. And to me, that's
memorabilia, acknowledgement, video clips, and all sorts of stuff.
Right. Acknowledgement, I mean, of some of the greatest series ever. Now, do they have a section? Now, they did it right. When you walk in, there's a section, and I'm just going to touch on this, and I'll go with more in depth. Nice section for Babe Ruth. Probably the guy that put baseball on the map. And then Hank Aaron. There's a further down the same hall. They celebrate, or no, upstairs. They celebrate Hank.
Yeah,
Aaron
I think he is right before the records.
And they do
basically, when you walk in, so they guide you. You can obviously see the Hall of Fame however you want, but they have it set up where they tell you to head up to the second floor, work your way around that, then work your way up to the third floor, and then you go downstairs and you see a few rooms, and then you ultimately finish up with the plaques, with the actual, the Hall of Fame. So they started off with the beginnings of baseball and some real historical memorabilia, and some of the historical players who are very overlooked in the hobby, and they're overlooked even in baseball lore. There is a lot of "what have you done for me lately" type of stuff.
But it is pretty cool.
And then you do hear a lot. I feel like the generation, like we've always heard from the generation who watched Mickey Mantle, like the guys from the 50s. And that's why you hear so much from the 50s, and you don't hear as much. And that was the first era where they eventually did start getting televised a little more, and they had the baseball cards, and they had more pop culture, I guess, for their time, where the guys were known.
Well, they were superheroes.
But the Hall of Fame does, work its way around with that. So.
And what I do like about it is that older era, they do pay tribute to more players than just the Hall of Fame guys too.
Yeah,
they do have all-stars and guys that have contributions to the game. I thought that was pretty cool. Like I said, I'll get more into that on Monday or Tuesday. What's Lou Rock saying there? My old eyes.
Is this conversation leading to Altuve worthy of being in the Hall of Fame? He was great before the cheating and has been great after, but man, he sucks.
Yeah, and that's a personal preference, but what he's done on the field, I say yes.
I hope he gets in just to see Wesker Griff's head explode personally. That's just my opinion. That's all I need.
See if Soto can get traded to the Astros in the offseason and go on from there. Altuve is arguably a top, was that 528? Second baseman
yeah.
Of all time. I don't know about that. It could be an argument for another time. But that was just the thing I just wanted to kick off, because they can't ignore the fact that we're up here. And man, that whole town is geared for baseball, which it should be. It's a small town. But I do have, before we move on to some other questions I have, I just want to put this out here early so people that don't want to watch the whole. I know I tend to have long videos. I want to put this out
Everybody
early.
wants to watch every minute of it
That's right.
twice.
That's right. And hit the like button 3
Thumbs
times.
up.
Right.
Thumbs up. Back up.
That's right. So my question is, okay, Cooperstown. I think a lot of people, Mike's in here, and this Mike know now that the Doubleday story is something that uh, was fabricated by the Spalding family to create baseballs in American. They wanted to get away from rounders and other and cricket, other things that it was attributed to. They wanted to make it an American game. And it's a great quote in there. It said, baseball wasn't created by Doubleday, or Doubleday didn't create baseball, baseball created Doubleday. So even Cooperstown recognizes it. Uh, Man, it is hard to get to that area. It is
It's not that bad for me.
not a hard. I can't say hard.
It's not. It's basically, if you want to think of it for people who've gone to the National, it's not like getting to Chicago. It's more like getting to Atlantic City.
Right.
You got to fly somewhere and then drive somewhere.
It's planes, trains, and automobiles, man. It is.
But it is a beautiful town.
Yeah, beautiful town.
Beautiful town on a dreary, wet, damp day. It's even more beautiful when it's blue skies.
Yeah,
and trees
and it's a lot to do in that town. They promote, canoeing, and it's a lot of outdoors.
The farmers museum is there as well.
Right.
We did not see the farmers museum.
Okay.
But if you want to see the farmers museum, that is there.
And I mean, they have. I mean, what are we going to? 5, 6 card shops?
Yeah, it's like 5, 6 card shops. And
they're not normal.
And Dave and Adams was closed for the season.
Right.
You've got a ton of baseball heavy stores that are selling
what's up, Orlando?
Caps and hats, or hats and caps, same damn thing, but sweatshirts and jerseys. And
there's a store called Mickey Mouse store that had hats. Oh my gosh. I'll show them off later. I picked up a couple of hats. I love my hats, and oh my God, I could have
been showing one off right now.
Yeah, it could be, but I didn't. I realized when I sat down, but I did buy a Hall of Fame hat. Old McDonald does not. What does that say?
Something about him being in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But no, there's a number of stores, like you can go shopping, and it's not all baseball. There's a candy shop, and there's
just tourists. Yeah.
There's a few coffee shops and such, and there's actually some. They probably don't get the attention they deserve off to the side streets. There's some more like cafes and stores, but there's all that antique stores, and that's, we're just talking about like the main street of Cooperstown. Off, a mile off, there's,
and they have
some other
awesome,
places and antique
they have
shops
built an awesome Little League park, about a mile or 2 away from Hall of Fame. But my question is, should it be moved to a location that's near a city? Canton is near Cleveland.
What up, Reese?
Reese is in the house.
Yep.
Charles Davis. Or is it something that should be kept in Cooperstown for history reasons? That's where it was built. I mean, the Spalding family, I think, originated it. It's been added on to. I was sitting there. I took a picture of the cornerstone. If you're a history guy like me, that means a lot. The cornerstone is the date of the building. It was 1901, I believe, or 1911. I have it taken on my phone. I saw where the original picture, the original group was, and all that was just pretty cool. But that was just something that I wanted to throw out there.
What up, Mike?
What's up, Mike? We were just talking about you yesterday, man. Good to hear from you. Just something I wanted to throw out there. Leave your comments down below. Tell me I'm stupid for thinking that.
I'm stupid.
I am. I probably am. I don't agree. I don't agree with it moving, right?
You're not stupid.
After going to it, before I went, me and Mike had this discussion. After going to it, I don't think it should be.
It's kind of interesting. Obviously, baseball's so big, and it probably helps that baseball I don't want to say baseball was bigger back then. Baseball had less competition back when they built it up.
Right.
But, you know, if they were starting it now, I think they would have to be probably closer to a major city.
Because we went on a
But
Saturday
back in the day,
in October, and
back
it was
in-
a pretty good crowd there.
Yeah, I think back in the
Rating.
day, there's probably a lot of train travel and stuff like that, I
Right.
guess. But no, it's a cool town. I think it's a type of trip. If
Beautiful mountains.
you're a big baseball fan, like I don't see how you don't do the Hall of Fame at some point. And I
Right.
think it's a good father-son trip. It's a good
Good family trip.
brother trip. Yeah, with friends and stuff. I mean,
A lot of moms were taking in,
A lot of
taking
families.
pictures. I mean,
and everyone gets along there. I
There-
can't tell you how many Mets fans I saw.
yeah, Phillies
And,
fans.
you know, I didn't have that urge to like scream at them.
I had my Montreal Expos hat on. That stirred some interest from a lot of people. What's up, Dr. Exclusive? Yeah. It was just fun. And the people that work there, they are some of the friendliest people ever. Maybe too friendly, but
Small town people.
Yeah.
They love baseball.
I love
I mean,
baseball.
shit, they got nice thing going, I
yeah.
guess.
And like I said, hopefully I'll have a video where I go really in depth on all this, on my thoughts. And I think you guys have watched me over the 5 years I've been on, how I collect, are going to be surprised at some of the stuff I say. It is a life-changing thing if you're a baseball fan.
And you get to go see the movie,
And the movie.
which I've seen like 6 times. The only problem with the movie,
Ken Burns, a condensed in 9 minutes.
they update that movie every year, so that was the one disappointing thing because the ending was different than the last time it was aired. It's a very, very sad ending. Reese, if you've been to the Hall of Fame a number of times, I'm sure you know. A little tear down the eye as it concludes with the final out of the most recent World Series.
Cal
So
Tucker makes
that kind of sucked, but hey, perhaps we'll see.
it.
Perhaps that could change. Maybe next year. Then it might be must see.
Yeah.
We'll see though, or it might be another nightmare.
Or it could be Cal Tucker catching it again.
It could be catching a pop up by Corbin Carroll. So,
Yeah. Let's touch on that just for a minute. It's been fun also. 2 nights with Papa O, MikeO, watching Phillies games. Been loving it. I have no dog in the hunt. I'm a National League fan. I like
no dog in the hunt who doesn't mind seeing the Diamondbacks succeed.
I would rather see the Diamondbacks over the Phillies, but I'll root for the Phillies if they're in. But it's been fun. Man, this guy here lives and dies on these games. The listening to the Kimbrel stuff was hilarious. I have to say,
that was.
I would hate to have been around with
that-
the Mitch Williams years with you guys.
Well, the Mitch Williams, I was 93, I was 11, so that was full tears. I wasn't even angry.
Right.
That was full tears.
Well, I can tell you, with me and UVA, I've been that way. I've been in the floor in the early 80s because of the Ralph Sampson years when they didn't win the championship. And I was in tears when UVA did win the championship. So,
tears can flow for good things and bad things.
Right.
There's no doubt.
he almost did catch me at the Hall of Fame because I walked into the room of stuff, of upgrades. And the highlight was Gary Carter, first day as a Met, hitting a home run in the 10th inning to win the game.
I wish I had the phone out.
Yeah, he missed it. He walked up on it at the end, but he missed it.
But yeah, no. The other night was we saw 2 games, right? They blew the game.
That's true. That's true, Mike.
The other night, the Craig Kimbrel. So that first day, the day before the trip, the Phillies had lost a tie game, and Kimbrel gave up the run. It is what it is. Someone was gonna score a run at some point. But the other night, it was a 2-run lead at that point. And I think it was as you come in, I was like, he's probably going to blow this. And it's not like just being
I got to
negative.
say this.
It's just
so they showed Kimbrel warming up, and I look at Mike and I go, so you're saying the Diamondbacks have a chance?
He's just Kimbrel, overall successful season, successful signing. he started off really rocky. He was awful the first handful of times he pitched, and then something clicked, and he was unhittable in, I want to say, May and June, and then post All-Star game, little leaks and here and there, not horrific, but showed some signs. But he has thrown more innings this year than he had in the last like 5-6 years,
and he's not young,
and he's starting to show it. And unfortunately, his command has not been good lately, and he's been very susceptible to home runs. So when he was coming in, I was basically rooting for just the tie game. I was so fearful he was going to give up 3, and ultimately that is what happened. And I was not happy. I don't think I showed that much outward.
No, not at the time.
But I was like, I think because we were watching it here together and out of my normal element, it bothered me. I was upset by it. But like, if I were in my, I would have been like,
right.
I would have been throwing up in my.
I knew to be quiet, so I just sat there. But we are a baseball card channel, and I just want to say, like, one of those card shops and stuff, it's already been noticeable. Even you made a comment tonight. We opened up a bunch of packs today of Mosaic football, but I opened up some baseball.
Some Bowman Platinum.
Bowman Platinum, which is a very good. If you like a nice looking card on the cheap, that's the way to go. I mean, that's a nice looking product.
Yeah, I think it's a little improved from 4 or 5 years ago for sure.
But we were talking about like how Harper prices, I mean, have gone up. I'm sure Schwarber and Castellanos.
I'm pretty sure I've been kind of keeping away from following my eBay stuff. Like I'm keeping up with it, but not.
Right.
And I think I saw a notification that I sold a Schwarber rookie. So.
Right. And I mean, I got some Schwarber's prospect cards as him as a catcher.
That's his first Bowman. I think he's making the play at the plate, right? Yeah. Can't see that anymore.
No. And I did do a meme with him scoring from second. I don't know if it's been done yet, but him running down the third baseline, in my mind, I just go, fast as fuck, boy, fast as fuck. Just running his little legs. That was hilarious. So, I mean, the Phillies just last night did what they were supposed to do. And that's why we kind of came on tonight to watch Texas and Astros tonight and Miami Eagles game. But also my next thing was to talk about, I had a few topics that I haven't brought up at all on my channel. And I like to talk about current events in our hobby. Is the mega store that is being talked about by Jeff Wilson in the Atlanta area. Any thoughts on that, Mike? We're talking about a Best Buy or something like that store.
Yeah, it's supposed to be big, 24 hours a day, all kinds of great, super modern. And listen, it sounds like a cool idea, and I'm sure it'll be a destination early on. But we'll see if that can.
He can't be just selling product.
I find it hard to believe that as.
It's got to be clothes and.
Yeah, you've got to have like the action figures and the bobbleheads, and you need the casual, grandma, mom coming in and buying that $20-$25 Christmas gift.
Now, granted, he bought it in the area of the stadium, so the area of the stadium is, and I was hoping that Battery would be on here tonight. I'm thinking that's more in I think it's like a warehouse, lower.
I think it's the Braves ballpark, I believe, is out in this.
It's not in Atlanta, and
and I think they've just made it a whole touristy area where there's a whole bunch of things to do. It's kind of a destination place.
And you think Fanatics has got to have something?
I think it'd be cool. Like I want to go to Atlanta and see a Braves game. I was on the cusp of making the final plans to do that trip back in 2020, and then obviously things went haywire there for a while.
Right.
So like if I'm down that area, sure, I'll check it out. But am I gonna make a specific trip to check out that type of place?
Yeah,
probably not.
I wouldn't go to specifically go to that.
And if it was local to me, I'm sure I would go to it once in a while. But I don't. As much as I love cards, I don't think I'm driving out at 4 a.m. to go. Like I don't. 24 hours, I feel like has been trending. Things have been trending out of 24 hours, like Taco Bell's and McDonald's at this point. I don't think most of them, unless it's a really big area, are not open 24 hours.
Right.
So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if that's, especially with expensive product, really expensive stuff.
Yeah,
you
I
to
didn't
be
hear
open at
24
4 a.m.?
hours, but that's interesting. That even throws another, like, what if, and just to have that many people that tuned into what's going on in that world. I mean, we know how hard it is now to have to have enough info and knowledge to work at a store like that.
Yeah, and there's so much stuff going. People can only spend so much too. So, I mean, I get you have the options for people to do
Yeah, I
breaks
saw
or
that,
buy
Orlando.
graded stuff or whatever, but
Mhm. I hope it does well. And I told Mike, I go, I think he stole was in my dreams or something, because that would be a store I would dream of. But the actual reality of it is how much you got to sell to pay for the square footage and the people.
Reese says might as well add a drive-through. That'd be dangerous for some people. Can you imagine if you're on your way home from work, you go roll through the drive-through? Well, one blaster, please.
I mean, they're going to open it up. They're going to be selling straight. They're also going to be doing eBay from there, and I guess he's going to have his studios in there. So you could go there and watch him actually do his. I mean, because that was an event. People were watching him do his stuff at the National when he was doing his lives and stuff at the National.
That excites you. I have a hard time even clicking on the videos personally.
I don't want to get personal with it, because I hope for the hobby. I would like.
If it succeeds, it's good for the hobby.
Right. I don't know if Got Baseball Cards is in that area.
I know he's down south, but I don't.
He's in Atlanta. He's in Atlanta. Yeah, Atlanta area. So I don't know how that's going to work out. I know that's a 3-story store that he does a lot. He does a lot of SGC, PSA, and CGC.
Yeah, it's been a while. I used to buy some stuff from him. I haven't lately, but I did check out. He had some good stuff at the National.
One blaster with fries, please. Yeah. I just I hope the best for him. The other thing that I wanted to touch on, so I had a list of stuff I wanted to talk to you about, because I haven't really had my guests on where we want to talk about what they were doing. Was It was a Fanatics thing. I'm trying to, hopefully it comes back to me. Aaron, what was that? I just right now in the hobby, I don't know how everybody else is feeling. Like Chantilly's this weekend. I haven't heard anything about that show. I haven't seen.
I feel like I've also been out of touch with stuff just from the past week or 10 days. I was ridiculously busy and then prepared for this trip, and we've been up here and hanging out and watching games and driving to Cooperstown and stuff like that. So I haven't been on the social media that much. But even before, so I didn't really hear a lot about Chantilly's coming up.
Yeah, I mean, but this one I usually go to.
They do the 4 shows. I know the Philly show. I feel like the Philly show. I thought they did 4.
No, it's a spring, summer, fall.
They don't do it winter. Okay. I know the Philly show. I mean, again, I'm close and I know I'm always going, but I feel like I hear a lot of buzz about that. Dallas show, you'd always hear a lot of buzz.
I don't even know when the next Dallas show is either.
But it's just, I mean, right now, I think things are tightening up in some cases, and there are so many shows and now card shops, and there's just so much news in the hobby that maybe it just gets overshadowed a little bit as well.
Right. I mean, Topps update just came out. We were looking at pro debut stuff, which if you're somebody that just wants to open product and you like to speculate at, something for fun, that wouldn't be a bad product. You get all autographs in that. What are we, $90, $98, $95 for a jumbo? You get 3 with chrome and
there's some parallels and stuff.
65 for the hobby with 4 autographs.
And there are some back to Cooperstown real quick, only because you brought that up. There were some shops with some Obviously, some touristy prices like $8 for a base card that you could generally get for $1. But we also ran into,
Manuals.
I mean,
Epic
yeah,
manuals.
like $110 Ginter hobby boxes and, prices that actually make sense,
Right.
that are very fair for that type of set.
And I don't know if they're doing that. And you bringing that up with Fanatics, Fanatics came out with their outline. They might be getting prepared for that, because that's the perfect place for Fanatics to be
You
stronghold.
would think there'd be a,
Fanatic
Fanatic
store.
store there.
Yeah. David Adams always had a foothold. They're moving to a bigger location. I think they only sell baseball at that location.
Yeah, it's been baseball and Topps exclusive, whatever the agreement was at the time.
Right. So that we missed it. They were closed. We were a little upset about that, but there was plenty of baseball cards. It was nothing that I really saw that really, but it was a lot of cards. If you had the time to go through value boxes there, we were talking about that.
Some chances to probably find some cool stuff.
Right.
You only got so much time. You're trying to see a museum and hang out and check out so many cool things.
Topps Pro Debut gave Eli the Pro Debut stuff to it. Pro. Oh, somebody's making money.
That mosaic card sold. That's good. I got plenty to restock it.
Yeah. What are we over? 4 boxes of
four mega boxes and five value packs.
Value packs, yeah. So we did today. We went into town and went to one of the most amazing video game stores I've ever been into.
Nerd
toy. It was nerd store. I was in love.
It was very impressive. The amount of comic books, DVDs, movies. I mean, pop figures, action figures.
No sports stuff.
Video games,
except for sports video games.
Yeah, a handful of sports video games.
We didn't even go look to see if it had sport movies. Because we had places we needed to get to today. Gosh, I wish I could think. I had a whole list of stuff that it's been on my mind, and now I've gone blank. I should have wrote it down. Should
Make a list.
Make a list. Make a list, Scott. So
Fanatics.
Pricing? No, and I think it was. I know we wanted to talk about the Jeff Wilson thing, which I'm not. I've always said he's got a place in the hobby, and he's got. I don't think it's his money paying for this either. I think he's got backers. He's an entrepreneur, a smart entrepreneur, uses other people's money to make businesses work. So I hope the best. Like you said, if I'm in Atlanta, I know after flying in LaGuardia on Friday, I'm going to be going to a Mets series, because that was very easy. And I saw Citi Field, was awesome to see. Yeah, so I'll be hitting a Mets series next year, hopefully. Oh, I know what I want to talk about for next year. So the National, we done found out since the last time we talked.
Triple header.
National, 3 years in a row, going to be in Chicago. Good, bad, indifferent?
Not thrilled, personally. I know some people are. I prefer to see the National. I'm fine with the consistency of Chicago every other year.
Mm-hmm.
But it being the National, my preference is to see it bounce around in between. Just because otherwise you might as well just call it the Chicago show.
Right. And they already had
the Philly show, the Chantilly show, the Dallas show, and then have the Chicago show. But you have other Chicago shows.
Right. The Chicago lane.
And I always hear people say well, it's the best because it's right in the center of the country. I'm like, well, it's the best for people in the center of the country. Otherwise, you got to travel. So what's the difference? I mean, I like Atlantic City because it's only an hour and a half ride for me, but I understand that that's not the best destination on the East Coast. I mean, to put it nicely, it's a shithole. That's putting it nicely. Um, and it's difficult. It's like getting to Cooperstown. You know, you got to fly and then take a
I think
train
it's
or
a
an
place that
automobile.
wishes a shithole.
Yeah, it's difficult to travel to as well. So I understand why that needs to be replaced. I think Baltimore would be cool to have it once in a while, but I just don't think they're up to code. I don't think they have a big enough venue at this point in time. I like Cleveland. We'll see how Cleveland operates, but for me, I would prefer to see it bounce around. Now, if it's in Chicago 3 straight years and then we get some other places, cool. But if it just becomes Chicago every year, it's kind of like,
Which again,
I'll still
they have
most
three
likely,
Chicago or two Chicago.
more than likely, my expectation would be to go to the National every year. But if it's in Chicago every year, I'm more likely to skip a year here and there because I'm like, well, I'll just do it next year.
Right.
Not that I want to, but obviously sometimes you got financial reasons or family stuff going on,
right.
or limited time.
Because if finances don't get any better in the world right now, I mean, you got to do what's best for you. We heard a lot of that last year. Even though they set record, we are all part of a record. I talked about it today, driving around.
Plus, there's no air conditioning.
Right.
We'll see if they ever solve that.
And we'll see in Cleveland, right? So Cleveland is not, the area is not like Chicago. People tend to not go. They like Chicago because how it's set up outside of the show, not the show itself, but everything outside.
Yeah, the area is convenient if you're flying in. You can get a hotel or Airbnb, whatever. More than likely, you can get something that's either walking distance or within a 5 to 10 minute ride, and there's plenty of options to eat. So that portion for Chicago is really nice.
Yeah, real easy to hang out with everybody after the show. But Cleveland, the actual show itself, I love that arena. I love it. It's one big sweet. You're not going to get lost. I had to tell 3 people how to get out of Chicago, out of the place.
Well, it was extra confusing this year with all the additions.
Yeah, and you had 3 entrances and exits. And then if you left one of the exits and all the kids were out there doing trades out on the floor, you probably still thought you were in the show.
Yeah, next thing you know, you're stepping on an $8,000 card.
Oops. And in Cleveland, you don't have room for that. You'll be in the parking lot doing that in Cleveland. The way it looks like they're going to set it up. So my thing is like,
did they put out a map for it yet?
I saw a map for it right afterwards, but I have not seen it on the website. I've seen an early map for that one of the vendors let out. And if you've been there to the last one, so the wheel is gone. The Ferris wheel is out. So last time they had a bunch of tables up there at the front where you could eat, and they got a lot of eating places there. And the food is better there to me too at the place than at Chicago, and it's easier to get to, a little bit more selective. Still not great, but better. From the way it looks, they're gone because they need that space for show floor. But we're not going to break a record in Cleveland. So we talked about it today. The people that go to the National are like us. I think most people go to the National that travel are crazy for this hobby, right? The people that go to it that lives in the area are more of a
more so casual.
Maybe, it's a big show here. I know I had some friends do that before.
I know anyone in here might not be able to, not everyone out there who's in the hobby watches people on YouTube talk about the hobby or open packs or show off their collection or grade it, or
have a group you talk to every day about cards
in a chat where you're talking about cards, or traveling halfway across the country to hang out with friends who collect cards and to look at cards, or to go into card shops or card shows consistently and look at cards every day, and maybe not buy cards every day. Sometimes maybe buy cards every day, but even get tempted? Like, is there a day that goes by that you're not at least a little tempted to buy a card in some way, shape, or form?
I've been better here.
It's tough.
I've been better here lately because I've stayed off of eBay.
Yeah.
So, but man,
still, you drive by and you're like, there's a Walmart or a Target. Shit, should I stop? And then you might just hit the gas pedal and blow through the lights so you don't stop.
Well, that's what we did.
But it doesn't mean you don't think about it.
So we went to Target today, no baseball cards, and Walmart's across the street in the city. Where were we at?
We were in Vestal, New York.
Vestal. So
right outside of Binghamton.
We went
home
to
of the Rumble Ponies.
The Rumble Ponies.
Affiliate of the New York Mets.
That's right. We went to a card show, a card shop today. They had a Francisco Alvarez Rumble Pony bobblehead. They didn't get it though. But we went to the Walmart just to see if they had the baseball cards. And they did. They had some Bowman Platinum. And I'm glad I bought it. It was my first Pony. I got a couple other blasters. I haven't opened any of it yet. Beautiful cards, like I said. If you're just looking for something to break or add to your player collection or team collection, great cards. You know they don't resell. Not talking about that. Just talking about the cards. But the National itself, I'm just wondering. This is going to be the year.
Were you happy or indifferent or not happy when you heard that it got?
I'm not happy it's a 3 because part of the fun of the Nationals going to different places, checking out different towns. Even though, like, yes, we hated Atlantic City. Everybody before and after, but guess what? When we were there, we made the best of it, right? We all were like, "Oh, I hope it doesn't go back." But guess what? If it was back in Atlantic City, what would happen? Everybody would be there, right? But I'm just interested to see what this next one looks like, and if it's 3 years in Chicago, what the third year in Chicago looks like, because people are like, "Oh, it's the same show," and the people in the area, they're going to get confused with the Chicagoland. I really think that's going to happen.
Well, if it's every year too, the locals will be, I feel like, less likely to feel compelled to have to go every year. There we go. It's a national. Instead of being like, I got to get there, I won't be back for 4 years.
Yeah. And we were talking about you yesterday. We had a pizza shop up in Cooperstown. We're like, we're doing this for Dave. I got a stromboli. They got slices, but we're like, hey, wish Dave was here. Yeah, I just think no matter what, I don't think that was. I wish they would have gave Atlanta a chance. I really would have.
Hey, if Card HQ were
hot as
set
hell
up at a time,
right?
Maybe it would have happened.
I love some slices. Yes, you do that. I just wish they would give. I think the car show that's out there now, Burbank, has proven that not having it on the West Coast, all the reasons why not having it is a bunch of BS out there. I think they've proven that to the fact where it's rumored what might be somewhere that Fanatics might be interested in. It just, I think having it in more places than Chicago. I want to go. Chicago is fun. I like Chicago. We need to go eat at Pequod's with our boy Ed.
Give it a try.
We gotta give it a try. We've been shooting around. We've been seeing videos and ads for it since we've been talking. As soon as we talked about it after I left, not in Chicago, but I left, I started getting ads popping up on all my socials for it. So we got to try that. Got to get back to Big Chicken. But Cleveland, then we're 3 years in Chicago. So I'm gonna break it up. My plan is to go to Toronto next year. So
buy some hockey cards.
Buy the hockey. But overall, fun weekend. Again, want to thank Mike and Papa O for letting me crash and feeding me and doing all of that.
Feeding you some mediocre meals.
The calling is a David Ortiz like career. I think he'll hit 500. What's that say? The ceiling Oh, Jordan.
No, Jordan Alvarez.
Jordan.
Alvarez is one of the best hitters in baseball right now.
Yeah.
How he ages, how he, you know,
He's gonna be like 27 right now.
He's probably about that. He's going to be a DH for the most part. So
yeah, he can't play the field.
But he's a hell of a damn hitter.
Yeah, he is a professional, no doubt, a professional hitter. That's
it'll be interesting to see what happens in that game 6. As a baseball fan who doesn't have a particular interest in this, when your favorite team's in it, you just want it to end because you want to advance. I just want to see that 7th game. It's fun. And we'll see, because the Astros are really, really good, and they have been for a really long time. And Texas has obviously shown flashes. They really had that heartbreaking loss in Game 5 at home to make you question, can they bounce back? But they theoretically, statistically, based on recent success, have the starting pitching advantage. So we'll see.
Right.
But I mean, I know the Astros are threatening right now, so we'll have to see how that game goes.
Yeah, and my dad's talked about it before on our show that the Astros struggle at home for whatever reason this year. So
yeah, they've been an awesome road team this year.
Right. So that's about it I'm going to have for tonight. That's just wanted to bring up a few topics that I haven't touched on in the past. If y'all have anything else that y'all would like to add down in the bottom, it'll be questions or anything to add about the national. We're ways away from national. Like I say, they can put it on the moon, and we're going to figure out how.
What is it, October? What we got? 10 months?
Yeah. No, it's not 10.
No. When's the national? End of July. Right?
July. So 8 months. Pretty much 8 months. Dave probably knows if he's still in
Dave's
here.
got the countdown. He's got the hours and minutes.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm telling you though, it's not too early to get your stuff to stay at the national. That's not nothing to laugh about.
Well, we should be set for this year.
Yeah, we should be okay. But anyway,
I'm looking forward to Cleveland. I like the fact whenever it's a national, I can drive to comfortably. That's an advantage if you can drive to national. It's not always possible, and sometimes it doesn't necessarily make sense, but that's my plan for this time and getting to hang out. Looking forward to having a good time and seeing everyone and all that.
No tour of the farm, Reese. He took me around the waterway there, and we took a left instead of a right, and started hearing banjos. So,
should have taken the side by side. Should have driven it up on the top of the field, but
yeah,
it's been a wet, rainy few days.
It has.
A little chilly today, about 42 degrees. So,
and the real feel was 34.
Yeah, it was. I did a little
doing some work outside.
Did a little work, and the next thing I know, I'm like, I can't feel my toes.
Nah, this guy was inside playing games on his phone.
Big guy at the plate.
So Jordan is up now, or it has already been up on some price.
Yeah, this could be delayed a little bit.
So let's see here. Wow. He got a hit. RBI. Jordan can do more than hit bombs.
Wesker Griff just threw up in a trash can somewhere.
Calling BBC, want to know what Texas is doing. So with that being said, like, share, tell a friend. Stay tuned. I want to get more in depth with the Hall of Fame stuff. Do you have anything you want to add, Mike?
No, it's just been a great weekend. Fun. Always awesome to hang out with friends and family. Always fun to hang out with a fellow YouTuber, another maniac who enjoys sports cards. So it's been a good time.
Yeah, man. Not only sports cards, just baseball. This is a baseball fan.
And that's when you're going to the Hall of Fame, like, summer's great. It's going to be a little more crowded. Induction weekend, I'm sure, would be amazing, but it's got some challenges with the amount of crowds.
Right.
But another thing to look into is always the fall. I mean, up here, you get up here.
Beautiful.
I come 3 hours north. Obviously, you're coming from further down south. All of a sudden, I mean, it is truly fall. The trees are all various colors, just beautiful looking, even in the dismal, dreary weather. Like it's
Right.
really neat, and you're doing that ride there. But the Hall of Fame,
We
there's
didn't
something
even
cool.
have
There's something cool
the
about doing
radio
it.
on. We just sat there. I was trying to get mentally prepared, just to tell you all that, because I was uh my brain, I was having so many emotions going, just being happy, not knowing what I was getting into. Yeah, I had some surprises, which I'll talk about, and my total thoughts on the whole thing. And yes, I will be going back and hopefully with my father the next time.
And like the fall is a cool time to go because
Yeah,
there's people there. There's a decent crowd, but it's not overwhelming.
right.
And you still have baseball. Like you can go take that ride, or if you're obviously if you're there, you're not gonna have to travel. But you're there, you're engrossed in the baseball, the past, the nostalgic to you from whatever era. Maybe you grew up in the 50s, the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, 90s, even hell, the 2000s. We see that stuff. I'm like, damn, it feels like it was yesterday. And it's like, oh, it was 20 years ago. And the present day is shown there as well. So you can absorb all that and then go watch some postseason baseball. Like that's
Because we
cool
were talking
too.
about there's a big thing about movies and entertainment with baseball, and we were talking about how old some of that stuff was, and it just felt like yesterday.
Yeah.
Looking at video games and movies and books and stuff. So yeah, it's amazing. So till next time, see ya. How do I end this? How do I end
You
this?
press end,
Oh,
and then you press end stream.
hit it again.